He is one of the richest men to ever walk the earth, a fortune exceeding $100 billion. Yet every single morning he drives himself to McDonald's and orders a breakfast that costs less than $4. He still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for just $31,500. He doesn't own a smartphone. He doesn't ride in limousines. He doesn't wear a watch worth more than most people's cars. So, the question the entire world should be asking is this: why does the greatest investor in human history live like an ordinary man? Today we unlock the vault, the secret mind, the hidden truths, and the untold strategy of Warren Buffett. I am Frank, your host, and you are watching The Legend Vault. If you want to witness our newest deep dive episodes and unlock the secrets of history, step into the vault right now. Hit that subscribe button and claim your key to the vault. Let's dive in. It began in Omaha, Nebraska, August 30th, 1930. The world was drowning in the Great Depression. Banks were failing. Families were starving. Hope was in short supply. But inside a quiet house on Hickory Street, a boy named Warren was doing something that most adults hadn't even thought of. He was studying stock charts. At just 11 years old, Warren Buffett walked into a brokerage firm and purchased his very first shares of stock, 3 shares of Citi Service Preferred, at $38 each. He watched those shares fall before they rose. He sold too early. He learned that lesson: patience over panic would shape every decision for the next 80 years. By the age of 14, he had saved enough from delivering newspapers to purchase a 40-acre farm in Nebraska. A 14-year-old, a landowner. By the time he graduated college, he had accumulated nearly $10,000 in savings, an extraordinary sum for a young man in that era. The foundation wasn't built on luck. It was built on obsession, discipline, and an almost supernatural patience. The most fascinating part of the Buffett legend isn't the billions, it is the discipline. Every single morning, rain, shine, bull market or bear, Warren Buffett drives himself to the same McDonald's. No chauffeur. No private chef. No 5-star breakfast suite. And here is where the psychology becomes extraordinary. If the stock market opened strong that morning, he allows himself $3.17 a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. If the market is down, he spends $2.61, 2 sausage patties. That's all. His wife Astrid places the exact change in a cup holder before he leaves. He selects his order based on how the world's economy opened. This isn't frugality. This is the psychology of a man who treats every single penny with the same gravity as a billion-dollar acquisition. He once said, and I want you to hear this slowly: do not save what is left after spending. Spend what is left after saving. While the ultra-wealthy of the world spend fortunes on super yachts and private islands and vanity projects that fade with the headlines, Warren Buffett is calculating his breakfast order against the Dow. That is not a quirk. That is a philosophy. A way of seeing the world that most of us will never grasp. And it is the very foundation of $100 billion. But behind the balance sheets and the billion-dollar bets lies a story that the financial press rarely tells. Warren Buffett married Susan Thompson in 1952. By all accounts, she was his equal. Warm, intelligent, socially gracious where he was reserved. She balanced him. But in 1977, Susan made a decision that shocked their world. She moved to San Francisco to pursue her own path, her own voice, her own music. They never divorced. He never spoke against her. In fact, he once said she was the person most responsible for everything good that had ever happened to him. Before she left, Susan did something that defied every conventional expectation. She introduced Warren to a woman named Astrid Manx, a Latvian-born waitress who lived nearby. Susan's message was simple: take care of him. And so began one of the most unconventional arrangements in modern history. For decades, Warren and Astrid lived together. Susan remained in San Francisco. And every year, the family sent Christmas cards signed Warren, Susie, and Astrid. When Susan passed away from cancer in 2004, Buffett was devastated beyond words. 2 years later, he married Astrid quietly, at a small party for his 76th birthday. This story tells us something profound. The most logical investor alive, a man who calculates risk for breakfast, had a heart that followed its own completely illogical, completely human rules. And perhaps that is the most important lesson of all. At 95 years old, Warren Buffett is not looking at his bank account. He is looking at something far larger. In 2006, he made a pledge that stunned the financial world. He committed to giving away more than 99% of his entire fortune primarily through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Not upon his death. Starting immediately. Year after year. Check after check. At the time, it was the largest charitable donation in American history. And when asked why to give it all away, he offered one of the most quietly powerful statements ever made by a wealthy man. I want to give my kids enough so that they can do anything. But not so much that they can do nothing. That sentence alone could fill a philosophy textbook. He does not believe in dynasties built on inherited wealth. He believes in opportunity. In meritocracy. In the idea that fortune should flow back to the world that made it possible. The Oracle of Omaha, a man who could own anything, chose to give everything. In a world full of men who hoard wealth like it is a scoreboard. Warren Buffett reminds us that the greatest measure of a life is not what you accumulate. It is what you leave behind. Before we close the vault, I have 2 questions for you. And I genuinely want to hear your answers in the comments below. Question 1. Do you believe Buffett's simple lifestyle is the secret to his clear thinking, or is it just a habit he can't break? Question 2. If you had $100 billion, would you still live in the same house for 60 years? Let's talk in the comments. Because here's what I believe. The answer to those 2 questions will tell you everything. About how you think about money and about life. Wealth is a tool. But character is a choice. Warren Buffett chose character every single morning, at a McDonald's drive-thru, in a house he bought when Eisenhower was president, with a breakfast that cost less than $1 more depending on the Dow. Thank you for joining me in the vault today. Until next time, stay legendary. This is Frank, signing off.